with an unlimited supply of misinformation is Mr. Know-It-All.
Your Mac Life.
Welcome, part two, take two. Welcome to this edition of Your Mac Life. It is September the 18th, year 2013. My name is Sean King. This is Your Mac Life. Sorry for not being here for the past 2 weeks. I broke my arm and my foot and my body and hurt a lot of it. Quite painfully so. 3 weeks ago, August 31st, Labor Day weekend, for those of you who need a time frame. Labor Day weekend, we were driving, the CIG and I, she's over there. She's not great, but she's getting better. Alessandra and I were riding down McLeod Trail in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and I missed a red light. And luckily, we weren't in any kind of hurry, so I wasn't speeding or going crazy or anything else like that. The McLeod Trail is a long, straight street in Calgary, and I just assumed that when I looked up and saw green in the lights ahead of me, the light I was at was also green. Unfortunately, as the police officer told me, those lights aren't synced. They're not. You can't ride the green wave on McLeod Trail. The cop said it was a fluke. He said if you saw 6 green lights in a row that were all looked like they were synced, that was just a fluke. So I missed the red light we were at. Again, wasn't going insanely fast. I was doing the speed limit. I didn't get a ticket for speeding or anything else like that. Hit some poor guy in a Corsair, I don't know what it was, little POS car, but totaled the motorcycle, which happens. Generally on a motorcycle, if you hit something else, especially with the front end of your motorcycle, you've destroyed the motorcycle. So that's where I'm at. I want to show you guys, this was, and hopefully the audio will continue to work. Hiker BC says, no, you can never hit all greens in McLeod. Yeah, Hiker, it was, like I said, it was, in my mind's eye, I can still see 6 green lights all in a row. And that moment of inattentiveness. Off to the left, the guy came from my left. I could see him coming, but I'm thinking, oh, green light. He's going to stop at the green light. Mm-hmm. No, he didn't. Because he didn't have to. I had a red, he had a green. Let's see if this works audio-wise. There we go. So here's the video. For these folks who are watching the video, you get to see the supreme joy of my x-rays. That is my right wrist. As the doctor said, it was shattered in 27 different places. It was like putting together a jigsaw puzzle, they said afterwards. The bone was actually displaced up near the wrist. So there's the damage right there. That's what's caused all the pain and aggravation over the last couple of weeks for myself and the CIG. We were both lucky and smart. As I have always said, I always wear as much gear as I can. I don't care how hot it is. Even in the heat of Nashville, I would wear as much gear as I could put on. The only thing we didn't have the only thing that wasn't armored, and I've always wanted to wear armored pants, but it's just too hot in the summertime. And so I got a scuffed up knee, banged my knee fairly hard. Nothing broken or serious, just bumps and bruises on the legs. But I had motorcycle gloves on. The CIG didn't have motorcycle gloves on, even though I wanted to buy her motorcycle gloves. We actually had a motorcycle store before the accident. I wanted to get her gloves, but she refused. Luckily, no damage to her digits. We both had good jackets on. We both had good helmets on. And I think that certainly, if State Farm, which by the way have been fantastic through all this, State Farm requires, in order for me to get reimbursed for the helmets, that we turn the helmets in. So we turned the helmets in today. But you can see on both our helmets the impact zone. Obviously, I hit my chin first on the right-hand side and then rolled over onto the screen on the side of the helmet. It's all scarred and scratched on the side. I think because it was a side hit, that's why I didn't lose consciousness. Unfortunately, the CIG did. She was, I guess, I don't know if it's severe concussion, but she was had a fairly bad concussion for the first couple of weeks. She's recovering from that, but we're both very, very sore. I got to say thanks to everyone who sent tweets and emails and even a couple of cards from folks. How did you get my address, by the way? From people who told us to get better. I appreciate that, you guys. It's been wonderful that you guys have shown your concern for myself and Alessander. Definitely appreciate it. So yeah, the gear certainly saved our heads. I don't understand people who don't wear a full face helmet. You'll see guys, mostly the cruiser Harley crowd, that wear just the little beanie helmets, and the beanie helmets are great if you promise to land on top of your head. But unless you are guaranteed to land on top of your head, the beanie helmet would have if we had been wearing beanie helmets, she landed face first. I landed right side of face first and slid for a period of time. Imagine what this ugly face would look like if I had been wearing a beanie helmet. There's no telling what kind of damage Alessandra would have had as much as she impacted if she hadn't been wearing a full face helmet. So if you wear a helmet, wear a full face one. Even if it's modular, wear something that covers your entire head. So the next thing is, tomorrow morning, I go into the hospital. By the way, Foothills Medical Hospital in Calgary. Awful is the only way to describe it. Borderline incompetent to a certain degree. Amazingly bad, for lack of a better term, customer service. Bedside manner sucks. Awful. Awful place. If you get hurt in Calgary, do not get hurt in the area of the Southwest Medical Center, the Foothills Medical Center. I was appalled. And some people say, well, this is what Obamacare will be. It's got nothing to do with Obamacare. It's got nothing to do with, quote unquote, socialized medicine. It's got everything to do with bad service, bad customer service. The medicine I got, the treatment I got, is the exact same as I would have gotten anywhere in Canada or the U.S. or anywhere else in the world. It was the service. It was the attention to the patient. It was the communication or miscommunication, as it were on many occasions, that was bad. And that's got nothing to do with, again, socialized medicine. Or I don't anyone say that kind of stuff. But anyway, so tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., we go in, back to the hospital. We find out whether this thing is healing properly. And then we're going to find out what's going to happen with Italy. We still want to go to Italy. We still, after all this, definitely need to go to Italy. So that plan is still on. Now, whether I can physically go will be decided over the next couple of weeks by the doctor. So fingers crossed for that. On tonight's show, well, it's all about iOS, isn't it? It's all about iOS 7. It's all about iPhone 5S. It's all about iPhone 5C. My lovely little iPhone 4S apparently knows what's going to happen, so it committed ritual seppuku and gave its life up. The microphone port on the top no longer works. I took it to the Apple store today, and the guy confirmed that, the microphone on the top is broken, so I can't do recordings of video. And I want to do a lot of recordings of video with when we go to a bird. As I was looking over, a bird just flew up and hit our window. Poor stupid bird. So it looks like I'll be getting an iPhone 5S. Hopefully, I think I'm still eligible for it. I'll find out. So we'll talk to Jim Dalrymple about that. We'll also talk about his iTunes festival experience. You remember, before the accident, Jim was going off to go see Lady Gaga in London, England at the iTunes Festival. I want to talk a little about that with Jim, but why Apple does that. They opened with, on the iPhone 5 event, they opened talking about the iTunes Festival. Here's a question for you. Why do you think Apple doesn't do that in the U.S.? Why is that a free concert? Why is that in a small venue, relatively small, about 3,000 people? Apple could do those same concerts in Wembley Stadium. As I said, they had 20 million requests for tickets. They could do that in Wembley Stadium for a month. They could do that in stadiums around the world for a month. Why do they do it in the UK for free in small venues? I think it's very interesting. We'll talk to Jim about that. I have no idea if the bird is okay. I just saw the bird smack into the window. Probably not, because birds have small brains and don't wear helmets. So as always, please email on air at yourmaclifeshow.com. We'll do emails a little later on the show after we talk to Jim Dalrymple. We won't have our IRC Babe Sly, but I will do shout-outs, because I've got so many shout-outs. I have to do them, otherwise I'm going to spend a whole show just doing shout-outs. We're going to What else? What else? What else? What else? All the usual stuff. You guys know the drill. So when we come back from this musical interlude, we'll be talking to our good friend Jim Dalrymple from The Loop at loopinsight.com. This is your Mac Life.
Hey,
Mr. Dalrymple, how you doing, sir?
good. Just give me a sec. I got to put a cigarette out.
Oh my God, folks! Can you guys hear me? I'm still working on getting this thing right. I think the audio is okay. Let me know if the audio is not good for myself or for Jim.
All right.
Jimbo, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good.
I'm glad to hear that.
What's new?
I got a broken arm.
I heard about that.
Yeah, not fun. I don't recommend it.
I couldn't figure out why you didn't call for the show last week, and then the next night, or maybe it was that night, I went out for a beer with Paul Kent, and he said, "Yeah, Sean was in an accident."
Yep.
So I kind of felt bad then.
That's right. Fell down, went boom. Man, no kidding. Have you ever been a motorcycle guy? Because obviously you look like a motorcycle guy.
I had a motorcycle when I was younger,
No.
and I went sliding through an intersection on my butt with the bike ahead of me. And luckily there were no cars, so I didn't get hit or anything.
Mm-hmm, yeah. And that was it for your motorcycle career?
I traded it for $200 and a leather jacket.
and that began the legend of the beard. Everyone has to have an origin story. There's your origin story right there. Yeah. Well, good to hear. Let's talk a little bit about. Last time I talked to you, you were jetting off to London, England, for the iTunes Festival. First of all, before we get to your actual experience at the iTunes Festival, I thought it was very interesting that in the iPhone, I just said this to the audience, during the iPhone event last week, Apple led with the iPhone Festival, or at least one of the top two things they talked about. Did you find that interesting, or is that just sort of fluff?
No, I did find that interesting because they'd never really talked about it before.
Yeah, exactly.
And they had 20 million people apply for tickets. The tickets are free. But 20 million people applied for the tickets. Now, keep in mind that they only have the Roundhouse only seats 3,000 people.
Yep, it's a small venue.
Yeah, it's a very small venue, which makes the concerts even better.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they have 3,000 people per night. So 3,000 free tickets, and they only run 30 nights. Well, only. They run concerts 30 nights. That's 90,000 people.
Yeah, that's nothing. You could do that at Wembley Stadium in one night.
Yeah, exactly. But 90,000 people over a month. They got 20 million people wanting tickets.
That brings up the question, why do you think, first of all, the big question for me is, why doesn't Apple do this in the United States? They've been doing this for 7 years now, always in the UK. Why is this a UK-only festival?
I don't know.
You're no help.
I don't know.
But isn't it interesting, though? I mean, that's what
I'm kind of glad that it is, because I enjoyed going to the UK.
Sure. Oh, yeah. No, it's absolutely a special venue. But I don't think Brits are any more or any less in love with that music than Americans or Germans or anyone else. I just find it interesting that they've been doing this for 7 years, and it's only ever been in the UK. It's only ever been in small venues, and it's always been free.
Yeah,
it fascinates me that Apple. I'd love to sit down with someone at Apple and say, thanks, great. Why?
Yeah. I wrote an article on Fortune about why I think they do it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's true or not, but I think that they do it just to kind of give back. Really, just to show that music is still important to them.
Yeah, but you see, by that, and I read your article, and of course, as usual, I disagree with it. But the thing is,
I would expect nothing more or less.
Well, no, the thing is, if they wanted to give back, do it at Wembley Stadium, do it at Madison Square Garden,
But it's But see, I mean, I saw Elton John in Vegas at Caesars, and I took Monique there one year for her birthday, and it was amazing. It really was. It was an amazing experience because it was so small.
Yeah.
And I think having these concerts in a large venue would ruin them.
I don't disagree. For me personally, I wouldn't go to a concert in the big stadiums. I had a chance to go see the Police and U2 when they were on their stadium tours. I had no interest. I do not want to sit anywhere unless I'm in Sting's lap. I have no interest in listening to the sound in a large stadium like that. I like the small venues. And again, that being said, okay, great. Apple could still do that in small venues, but there are a million small venues. It doesn't have to be Madison Square Gardens. There's Joe's Bar or Joe's Pub in New York City. There's all kinds of other places they could do this. So they're only if the logic is they're giving back, then the next question has to be, why are they only giving back to people in Britain? You know what I mean? As opposed to giving back to people in the UK, in the United States or in Canada or in Italy or anywhere else.
No, it's a good question.
It's always fascinating to me why and Apple doesn't, like you said. I was surprised to see them talking about it on the iPhone announcement because Apple never talks about this event. That may be the first time I've heard Tim Cook say the words iTunes Festival. This is not that big a deal to Apple on a corporate level. So why do they do it? It just absolutely fascinates me.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of think that giving back or that music is still important has a lot to do with it. I really do.
I agree. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that. And I love hearing, as much as people will make fun of Tim Cook because of the earnestness at which he says this, I really believe that Apple believes that. I don't know if it's true, but I think Apple believes that music is, as he says, in their DNA, which I find very, very interesting. And I don't know if that leads us to other aspects of Apple because of that, but it's certainly, they keep saying it, they keep proving it. I wish they'd have more quote unquote relevant people at their events. I mean, Elvis Costello, really?
It was actually, Elvis was actually kind of cool.
Yeah, he's no doubt cool, but he's definitely an old white guy musician. He is an old white guy, and he's a musician for old white guys. If you know what I mean. I mean, certainly he was the target audience of the press group you guys were in, because there was a bunch of old white guys in the audience. So I get that, but it just kind of surprised me. The other thing about the iTunes Festival, I don't think a lot of people realize, Lady Gaga didn't play for free. Justin Timberlake didn't play for free. The Roundhouse was not rented for free. I estimate Apple spends $10 million on that month for the iTunes Festival. Keep that in mind, folks.
And they stream the whole thing around the world for free.
Yep. Amazing.
And it's available, VOD as well.
Yep. Okay, so that being said, what the hell was the reaction to you at Lady Gaga? I've been dying to ask you this question for 3 weeks, man. Did you freak out a bunch of 16-year-old girls in London?
I did. It was pretty amazing, me strolling in there, and they, I don't know if they thought I was security or what, but
a rapist?
Yeah,
more likely.
I freak some people out for sure.
Just the mental image of you walking into a Lady Gaga concert just makes me laugh every time I think of it, man.
Yeah, I think it made a lot of people laugh, to be honest.
Because her target audience is not you.
No, I don't think she saw me, thankfully. I was up in the balcony, so.
You might have been asked to leave if that were the case.
Yeah, maybe.
So how was the concert? You said you liked Lady Gaga's music. Did you enjoy the actual concert?
No, I don't like her music.
Oh, you don't? So what the hell?
No, I don't like her music. I have respect for the performance that she puts on and the amount of work that goes into that. But it's not my type of music.
No.
But yeah, I mean, she did a great job. She had the crowd really going, and it was a good show.
Yeah.
I did enjoy the Luminaires. That was great.
Now they're more of an alternative kind of band, aren't they?
Well, they're
certainly poppy.
Yeah, it was kind of poppy, but it was acoustic, and they partway through, I think it was the second song, they had people standing up and singing and dancing.
Yeah.
And it stayed that way for the entire hour that they played.
Yeah.
It was great.
Were those the only two that you saw?
Oh no, I saw Fox, and I saw there's probably how many? I don't know. I saw 4 or 5 bands.
So I don't know why the rest of the, for lack of a better term, weasels in the Mac media haven't asked you this question. These were free tickets. 20 million people applied for them. How did you get yours?
Well, I was sitting in a press area.
Ah, so it was an Apple invite.
Well, yeah. I
cool.
mean,
Okay. All right.
I asked Apple, if I go over, can I get in?
Yeah.
So
cool. Well, good for you.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna, fly over in hopes that I get a ticket somewhere.
Yeah, no kidding.
Just
standing outside the roundhouse going, good. Tickets.
And can you imagine? Now that would be something. Me standing outside the Lady Gaga concert. Got tickets?
Guarantee you'd be escorted off the premises, man.
Guaranteed. So yeah, I asked if I could go. I hadn't been there before, and I thought after 7 years, especially since it's music.
Yeah.
I wanted to go and see a couple shows. So yeah.
Well, good. Sounds like you had fun.
Yeah, I did.
Good. So let's talk about the actual iPhone event now. The iPhone 5C and 5S launch last week. Again, a question I don't see anyone else asking. Why on the Apple campus? Why do you think they did it in a smaller venue? Why do you think it was limited to just the 200 people who can fit into that small room on the Apple campus?
It's an interesting question.
I try. I try.
Usually, I think Apple likes to control the message.
Sure, yeah.
Sometimes, and I don't know why, sometimes they have bigger events like at Yerba Buena, and sometimes they go for Moscone, where thousands of people are there, and other times they're just down at their campus.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if it means anything in real life, but I get the feeling that to Apple it does. I've always wondered why they choose which venue for which products. It's not a size thing. Apple could do a Apple event at Madison Square Garden and sell that thing out. But the Yerba Buena Center seats, I think, is it a little under 1,000?
Oh, I think it would have to. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be under 1,000 for sure.
So if Apple wants, obviously they want the media to talk about this stuff, why wouldn't they take the bigger venue? Is the question I would ask Apple.
You don't need a big venue for people to talk about this stuff.
No, I mean, by that logic, you don't need a venue at all. Apple could put a press release and we'd still talk about it.
Well, yeah, but Apple controls the message and how it comes out, and maybe that's not the reason. I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of those things I've always wondered. It's one of those things. If I could ask Tim Cook, it's one of the questions I would ask Cook is why you choose these particular venues at these particular times to do these particular events, and why do they sometimes stream them live and other times not stream them live? I don't think it's a huge deal that they don't stream live. They got it up. They posted it. I think this is the fastest posting that ever got one of their events up. So that's not the thing for me, but it is interesting why and how and when they choose particular venues for particular events.
Yeah, it is interesting. I don't know why.
Because you can tell too, and when you watch the video, you can tell that room is physically much, much smaller. It's much more, I don't want to use the word intimate, but it's certainly, you guys are all jammed in there a lot tighter than before, whereas Yerba Buena feels like a big presentation room as opposed to just a small conference room. Is the feel you get from watching the video of the iPhone 5C event last week.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it is a very small place, and it you didn't want to use the word, but it does feel intimate.
Yeah.
You're there isn't a bad seat in the place.
Sure. Yeah.
You're kind of just you're sitting. It feels like right up at the stage, even if you're at the back.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, everyone got good pictures, so it's obvious that it's a nice small space that lots of folks can get pictures of. Yeah. Were you? What did you think of Cook's presentation? I know a lot of other folks have zapruded this. That it seems like he's getting better each time. I don't know if I would agree that he's getting better. I don't think he's bad. Did you see any difference in the actual presentation?
Any difference? I do agree that Tim is getting better every time.
You think? Yeah.
I do. How he's, I guess even the handoffs to like Phil and other people are very smooth, and it just seems well put together. There's no awkwardness. There's no ooh, Tim, what are you doing? There's not, and there really wasn't at first either, because obviously Tim's talked before.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that the whole crew is just getting more comfortable together.
Mosquito in the RC chat room has a good point. He says Cook's okay. He has mannerisms that certain people will never warm up to. I think that's probably part of it too. It's his natural way of speaking. Some people just aren't going to. Like is the wrong word, but aren't going to warm to as much as we with Steve Jobs.
Yeah. How do you follow Steve Jobs on stage?
Exactly.
I mean, really, that would just be.
But I think they've got it nailed. I think they've got their presentation style nailed. Jobs nailed it down years ago, and Cook and everyone else is wise enough to not mess with it. They do the same presentation every time. I mean, how an Apple presentation is going to go. It's going to go smoothly. It's going to be handed off well. It's going to be tight. There's not going to be any if any. There's not going to be any major glitches. These guys know what they're doing. This is a company that's practiced this obsessively for the last 10 years. So yeah, their presentations are still going to be good.
Oh, absolutely. You can always count on that.
Yep.
Even if something goes wrong, they've practiced that. They have backup systems, and they have things that they can do and ways to get out of if something goes wrong.
Yeah, they have backups of the backups.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way that professionals do it.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it too. When you see other companies screw these things up, they're not professionals. When you see Samsung screw it up, or anyone else screw these things up, it means you didn't practice enough, you're not professional enough. Look at what Apple does, look at the way Apple does stuff, and do it like that. It's not that hard, guys. Just
every
practice.
Time.
Every single time, exactly. So let's start with the actual announcements. I want to say this, but it's going to hurt to say it. There weren't a lot of surprises in this event, were there? There were not. There was, I think, let's go through the surprises, because we can go through this pretty quickly. A7 was a surprise, right?
Well, A7 being 64-bit was a surprise.
You don't think?
I don't think A7 was a surprise.
Okay, so 64-bit was a surprise. The M7 was a surprise. The colors weren't a surprise.
No.
I think the upgrades to the camera weren't a surprise in general. The specifics of the upgrades were a surprise, though, correct?
Yes, yeah.
The tone flash, which for a photographer is kind of a big deal. That's kind of cool. Surprise. Yeah. But even none of those were earth-shattering surprises, except for maybe 64-bit, and even that won't be earth-shattering for another 18 months, 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, there was, what it seems to me is that the stuff that was developed on Apple's campus was a surprise.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
64-bit.
Yep.
The camera stuff, all that kind of all everything that could be photographed wasn't a surprise.
Yep. Everything had to go into a box so that some other third party outside of Cupertino, in particular China, wasn't a surprise. Now, that being said, is that a bad thing?
Well, yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
I mean, think how Tim Cook must feel to wake up in the morning and see his new product that's going to be announced in a month.
Yep.
All over the internet.
Yeah.
And, as much as people love the rumors and everything, that feeling of being surprised at an Apple event is huge. People love that too. They want to be surprised. But we can't stop ourselves from reading all about what's coming. And the problem with rumors, especially with analysts, is that they're wrong most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, then they overhype. And, if that doesn't come true, then people say, oh, well, I thought there was supposed to be a TV there. What happened?
That's right.
Well, there was never going to be a TV there.
No. Now, that being said, I tested this theory out on several people. Alessandra, the CIG in particular, she knew nothing of the iPhone 5 before it was announced. We watched the video together, propped up on the couch with a dozen pillows, sore aching bodies, and watching the video. And for a lot of the stuff, she was like, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's pretty. That's interesting. So we have to keep in mind that it's just us obsessive tech geeks and people in the media that knew all this stuff ahead of time. The vast majority of the population knew none of this stuff before it was announced last week.
Yeah, but the problem with that is that it's the media that's writing all the stories that everybody reads.
True.
So if somebody from, CNN writes a story and say, oh, well, it was boring, we already knew all this stuff, then when people read it, they say, oh, well, I guess there was nothing really new.
Yep.
When in fact there is. So it would be better if the normal people knew it and the media didn't, because the media is stupider than the normal people.
I don't disagree with you on that. But it's probably an intractable problem for Tim Cook. Unfortunately, last year he said they were doubling down on security. Well, that's not true. Maybe Apple internal security, but externally, this is the way it's going to be from here on in, isn't it? There's just no way that Apple's going to be able to lock down this kind of stuff anymore.
Well, exactly. How do you lock down external companies?
Yeah.
You're talking about hundreds of thousands or millions of workers that take snaps or take part.
Yeah.
Everything inside of Apple that could be worked on was a secret.
Yeah. So that being said, that this is in fact the new world order that we're going to be stuck with Apple. Does this mean that we will have to stop being surprised by Apple? We'll have to stop being held in wonder on these Tuesday mornings when Tim Cook stands up in front of a group of journalists and starts doing these things. Should we recalibrate our expectations to just say, you know what, I'm going to know ahead of time and that'll be okay?
Well, I think one of two things is going to happen. Either what you said, or maybe when Apple moves some of its manufacturing to either the U.S. or Brazil or some of these other places, a lot of that will dry up, at least for a while.
Yeah. So you think that Apple will be able to have better security if they move manufacturing to the U.S.?
I don't know.
I'm not saying that that's why they do that. I mean, they've obviously said they're making the Mac Pro and they'll make other products in the U.S., but I don't think – you know what? I think part of it is this is the difference between Tim Cook and Steve Jobs. I think Steve Jobs would try to lock this down. I think Tim Cook says, we're doing the best we can. If it leaks, it leaks.
No, I don't know about that, because Apple has admitted that the rumors affect their bottom line.
Yeah.
So they know the importance of this, and it's not just the products and the excitement of product day. it's their stock.
Yeah.
And that takes a hit.
But that being said, isn't this, you lead me down the path of saying that's partially Apple's responsibility in the way they deal with and treat the media, in the sense that if Apple did, I know a lot of folks say Apple does this, and they in fact don't. If Apple managed the media better, if they were better at stroking the media, maybe this wouldn't happen, or maybe it would happen to a different degree, and therefore Apple's stock price might not take the hit that they do. And then again, as I've said many, many times on the show and in all over the place, I don't think Apple really cares about the stock price. I think Apple stock price is where Apple stock price is going to be, and Tim Cook and everyone else at Apple isn't trying to manage the stock price. If it goes up, it goes up. If it goes down, it goes down. They're not that worried about it.
I don't think that they can be worried. I mean, you can't run a business trying to manage the stock price.
Well, you can, but not very successfully.
Yeah, and not for very long.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Apple recognizes that they can't manage the media. They can't manage the stock prices. There's a lot of things that are out of their control. I mean, like most companies, Apple will try to, reach out to the media. They'll, they have these events and they talk to the media there. But there's no way for them to have control of that.
Yeah, but you know as well as I do, Apple doesn't do things. Apple does things the way you just described them, whereas many, many other companies do things the political way, in the sense of, you and I have both had conversations with any number of companies on what they call deep background, where you can't use the name of the company or you can't use the name of the person. And this is information. Hey, Sean, Jim, we're going to tell you what we're going to do in 6 months. Don't tell anybody, but let this flavor what you're going to talk about with regards to this company over the next 6 months. Apple doesn't do that. Some people think Apple does, and I keep trying to get them to make proof of it, and no one's ever proven it. I guarantee you Apple does not do that. They do not stroke the media.
I'd love to be on that super secret list.
Exactly. Oh, hell yes. Hell yes. But, I mean, that's what I mean by managing the media. Apple could do a better job if they did do those sorts of things. Hey, so-and-so at media company A, you heard this rumor. Let's just say behind the scenes, deep background, this rumor is not true. Could you do us a favor and tamp it down?
Oh, my God.
You know what? That would be great if Apple could do that.
Hey, Tim, Dalrymple at loopinsight.com.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this for years. That's exactly what they should do. They should be doing that on a more regular basis.
Yeah, but that's not how they deal with things.
I agree.
You know.
All right, let's move on from this and talk about the actual products.
Okay.
The 5C first. Which one of the machines that Apple give you for a loaner or test machine?
I have a green one.
And one of the things I saw on the video that didn't jazz me was the colors seem fairly muted. Now I'm watching them, looking at the website, and the website makes the colors look kind of neon. Where are they? Are they pastel colors or are they neon colors? All right. How about this? How about this? Is it a bright green color or a light green color? Is it a nice? Do you like the color of the phone? All right, Jesus Christ.
It's a bright phone, I think it looks good.
You think so? So you like the color? You like the I'm going to use this word, and you're going to get confused. Saturation of the colors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. I have no idea what you just said.
Yeah, that's fine. As long as you like the.
I'll just answer yes.
Well, the reason why I'm asking, and as much as some other folks want to be Apple apologists and fanboys, this is not a new iPhone, right? This is the same iPhone that Apple announced last year. Do you agree or disagree with that statement?
Well, of course, I said that.
Yeah, it's the same phone. Apple may have re-engineered a little bit the enclosure, but for all intents and purposes, it's the exact same phone. So the color is going to be very, very important. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Do you think color will make or break the iPhone 5C success?
No, I think price will.
Interesting. Okay.
I think color is an important factor, but it's not going to make or break it. I think people will. iPhone has a brand that people want to be part of.
Yes.
Price is the determining factor there. So people will. Do you want an iPhone 5S? Yes. How much is it? You know.
Yeah.
What I would just pick a number, $500.
Yeah.
Okay, that's too much. I don't want that.
Yeah.
You know, what do you got for $200? Oh, wait, you got another iPhone, $200, and it comes in green. Yeah, I don't like green, but it's $200. I'll take it.
Mosquito in the RC chat room says, I'm looking forward to hitting an Apple store and checking out the quality of the plastic. I already know how I feel about the aluminum. My iPod Touch makes me very happy. What about the quality of the plastic?
You will be amazed with the quality of the plastic. I guarantee it.
I love the line of Johnny Ive in the video, unapologetically plastic. I love the fact that he's trying to blow smoke up our asses.
Well, I'll tell you, the thing for me, and I try and find a way to explain it, it does not feel like plastic.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe it's the coating that they put on it, or it's the steel reinforcement on the inside so that there's no give to it. Whatever it is, it feels kind of like ceramic.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it feels like. Or it's almost like glass.
I think part of the problem is that we always assume that the word plastic is bad. As Apple points out, this is not plastic per se. It's polycarbonate, which is plastic, but it's a different fit, finish, feel, and design of plastic. And people say, well, I had a Samsung something, and it felt cheap. Well, it's because it was cheap. They used the cheap plastic to keep the price down. Apple doesn't have to keep the price down because it's an expensive phone. So they went with a higher-end polycarbonate plastic. I think that makes perfect sense. And I agree with what everyone said, that the plastic does not feel, for lack of a better term, plasticky.
Yeah.
But it's still plastic. It's still
no doubt. Yeah.
Does that mean that that's going to affect people's purchase of it if they go to the store and pick it up, but it doesn't feel plasticky? Will people be more or less likely to buy it because of the feel of the phone?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that they'll be more likely to buy it. And the reason that I say that is because you said it a minute ago, oh, I had the Samsung phone and it felt like crap. Well, yeah, and then they're going to pick this up and say, wait, this is plastic?
Yeah,
really?
That's right. Exactly.
You know, this feels really good.
No.
I was surprised. And, you know, here the event ended and we walked into the hands-on area, and here's the iPhone 5S and the 5C at another table.
Yeah.
I walked right to the 5C to pick it up before going to the 5S. And normally, you know, I'm a high-end user, I would go to the 5S. No, I went right to the 5C to feel it, and was amazed. I spent the majority of my time in the hands-on area with the 5C at a number of different tables.
Monty says, ask Jim to compare the feel of this plastic to the 3GS plastic.
There's no comparison.
Yeah.
You know, that was, and I wish, I don't know, I've got a 3 and 3G around here somewhere, but granted, and I was mentioning this afternoon when I was talking to Gruber. I understand that, you know, the shape of the phones is different, and I don't know if I've convinced myself that this one is tougher.
Yeah.
But to me, it just feels tougher than the 3G and the 3GS. It's got a different feel to it, and it's very hard to explain. But, you know, if you've ever picked anything up that has that like really tough ceramic feel, then that's what it's like. And it is tough to explain. It doesn't feel like, you know, tough like the aluminum phones does. It feels different.
What about the cases for the iPhone 5? I'm not going to I wouldn't get one of the cases for me personally. I don't care. But do you think the cases Apple's getting back into the case business? Do you think it's going to be is that going to make any difference? I don't understand the idea of a colored iPhone and then covering it up with a colored case.
You know what? I think that's a fashion statement.
Yeah.
I really do. I think that's what people are going to be, changing up the cases, and they're going to be personalizing their phone. And I think it's a way for Apple to allow them to do that with these cases with the holes in the back and excuse me, all this different stuff going on that you can do with your phone.
See, I didn't like the holes in the back. I think Matthew Penzarino over at TechCrunch pointed out an odd design quirk of them is that when you put the case on the back of the iPhone, the text shows through in a very odd kind of way. I thought that was very strange that Apple did that. Did you see the same article?
Well, I'll tell you, I didn't notice it until Matthew pointed that out. But I think it was Siegler that first pointed that out, or maybe MG pointed to Matthew's article. I don't know, whatever. I was in the hands-on room, and I picked it up and I was looking it over. It didn't matter to me.
Sure.
But I do see where they're coming from and saying that, it's kind of an unlike Apple to allow something like that to happen.
It really is, isn't it? I mean, if this was a Samsung phone or an HTC phone, we would go, no, we wouldn't have cared. But
we would want to cover up the logo.
That's right. Exactly. But it just seems like an odd design. All I can call it is a flaw from Apple to have this. No, but maybe it's the French phone. It just seems very strange to me that. Plus, the idea of a colored case over a colored phone just seems odd to me. I don't get that.
I don't see anything else in it besides the fashion part of it.
I agree. I agree.
People are going to have fun with that.
Yeah.
And, I got a green phone with a yellow case. Well, I've got a pink case, and, it's a way to change the look of your phone. And with the green showing through, I think I have a yellow case with the green showing through. I mean, it gives you this wild looking phone.
Yeah.
Not only is a color phone, but now you have these wild colors, with other colors showing. Great stuff. People will love that.
I think it was Jason Heiner at Tech Republic that came up with. There's been a lot of discussion about whether this was a mistake by Apple not doing a cheap, whatever people are going to define as a cheap iPhone. The whole cheap iPhone thing. Every time I read it, confused me because it meant that whoever was saying that has no clue about how Apple does business. Apple doesn't make a cheap anything. Nothing Apple makes is cheap from the point of view of price. So when Apple said this thing was going to be $99, I thought, well, that's a great deal. Other folks want different price points. They think they have to capture. I don't understand how people don't understand that Apple does not have to capture the low-end market in China. All they have to do is get 10% of the middle class in China, and that's still a bigger market than all of the United States combined.
Yeah.
Apple doesn't need to go after the cheap Chinese market. I don't understand why people don't get this. Let Samsung and those guys fight for free phones in China. Apple's going after the burgeoning middle class in China. Folks who want to aspire to something better. People who don't want just a cheap HTC phone. They want a cool Western phone. And if they can spend $200 on it, that's a status symbol to them. I don't get why the Western media doesn't see this. It just confuses me.
Well, I think that a lot of the analysts and people that are saying this type of stuff want to appear that they're smart. And by saying a lot of the stuff that they say, they prove that they're not.
Yep.
Would Apple like the entire Chinese market? Sure, who wouldn't? But these people don't seem to realize that, one, Apple is going to make a phone up to its standards. And two, they're going to make money off of it. If nobody else does, they will. That's what Apple does.
Yep. Yeah, Apple does not need market share. They don't need to have 50% market share in China. If they get 5%, 10% market share in China, they will be making money hand over fist and not have to fight the low-end bottom feeders of the Samsungs and every other company out there. It just doesn't make any sense why people think that they have to sell a cheap phone. Now, that being said, Jason Heiner, Tech Republic, had a very interesting column about how he said there's between 30 and 50 million in the U.S. iPod Touch owners who are tweens and teenagers who are in the life cycle of their iPod Touch who are now potentially getting ready to upgrade to a new phone. And that's what the iPhone 5C is. The iPhone 5C is not a phone for my grandma. The iPhone 5C is not a phone for me or Jim. The iPhone 5C is for the cool, hip, younger kids. And in that regard, at that price point, they are going to sell a metric buttload of these things for this Christmas.
I think what a lot of people expect to happen is exactly the opposite of what I expect to happen. They expect that between the 5C and the 5S, you're going to say, let's just for numbers, let's say that Apple sold 20 million iPhones, before these two, that they might sell 25 million because it's going to be split between the two.
Yeah.
I don't agree. I think that everybody that would have purchased an iPhone, high-end iPhone, is still going to purchase a high-end iPhone.
Yeah.
Then you're going to get all the people that were buying Android phones are now going to buy, not all of them obviously, but are now going to buy a 5C.
Yeah.
So we could be seeing 40 million instead of 25. So it's not going to be that split. It may be split, 50-50 in phones, but it's going to be a larger overall number. And I think larger significant overall number.
I agree.
It's going to be a big, big change. And, people that buy high-end products are, there may be a few of them that say, okay, I was going to buy the mid-range one and it was $199 and the 5C is $199 and I kind of want to go freaky this time because I'm having a midlife crisis. And I just bought a convertible Mustang and I really want this pink phone. Okay. They may do that, but the majority of the people, I believe, will continue to buy the high-end iPhone when they would have. Anyway.
Let's talk about the high-end iPhone. There's no doubt that this thing is high-end, is going to be the choice of geeks everywhere. Physically, it's the exact same as the iPhone 5, correct? It's the same weight and shape and feel and everything else.
Correct, yeah.
I was very confused watching the demo, and I've yet to see one, so I'm still confused. What the hell is space gray? Space is not gray, Cook. What space? What does space gray look like? Again, I'm asking the guy who doesn't know whether it's neon green or not. So what the hell does he know?
Yeah, you're confusing me again.
I know. How does the gray look to you?
They all looked good. They're those two colors, the silver and the space gray are colors that you would expect from Apple. They're very, rich, regal looking phones. You would expect those two colors from Apple. They both look very nice. Yeah. And I know where you're going next.
Exactly. The gold, when the gold was first rumored, my first thought was, no way. Apple is not going to release a gold phone. It's not gold, is it? It's more of a quote-unquote champagne color.
That's true. It is. It's a very subtle type of gold coloring. And I was like you, I was thinking, God, what, I get 5 of those, put them around a chain on my neck and, go down the street with my music playing. And
the new rapper JDZ.
Yeah. I had nightmares about that, but when I saw it, I thought that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because it is so subtle. And I thought after I saw it that, well, I should have known.
Yeah.
But let's remember that Apple did a gold iPod mini that just sucked. Oh my God, it was bad. I wouldn't have taken one of those things at all. So yeah, I think If it wasn't for the iPod Mini, I probably would have given them more credit and come up with something that was just as regal and rich looking as the space gray and silver. But I was concerned.
Your choice.
But I have the gold.
You have the gold. Would you buy a gold, or will you go and buy one of the space gray or the other ones?
No, I'd get a gold. Yeah.
Really? You like the gold that much?
I do.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. I don't think I'd buy the gold. I don't care one way or the other. I think I'd go for the space gray, but certainly getting one. That being said, if the externals are for the most part all the exact same, from the spec sheet, is the spec sheet enough for you to recommend people buy the iPhone 5S, assuming they have, say, a 4 or a 4S?
Absolutely.
Just for just for the A7 chip? Would you tell someone buy it just for the A7 chip, even though they don't have a clue what the hell that is?
Well, I mean, there's charts out there to show you how fast, but the A7 chip is twice as fast as the iPhone 5.
Yep.
Just last year's phone.
Yep.
And it's not even the fact that it's processor fast. It's like Apple is getting very deep so they're expanding what you can do with these phones. And I think the Infinity Blade, is that what the game is called? Infinity Blade?
Yeah.
That they demoed.
Yep.
I think that shows how cool this phone can be as a gaming phone. But more than that, it shows what the 64 processor can do, 64-bit, and the fact that it's more efficient at everything that it does.
Yeah.
So it's able to handle a lot more. So that means developers will be able to do a lot more. I mean, this is what the technology is coming down to. It's Apple pushing developers and developers pushing Apple to make better technology and better apps. And, we need these types of chips in order to get things done. So if I'd recommend somebody with an iPhone 5 update, somebody with a 4S, I mean, it's a brand new experience.
Yeah. I'd say to anyone with an iPhone 5, if you take a lot of photographs, if you like taking photographs with your iPhone and you're eligible, get the 5S. I think the camera is good enough. But if you don't, I would hold off on the 5S unless you just desperately need it. Because until a lot of apps are more optimized for the A7 chip and 64-bit and all that kind of geeky stuff underneath, you're not going to see, you will see advantages of it right away. But if you have to take a financial hit in order to get rid of your 5 to get a 5S, I wouldn't bother. If you've got a 4S or anything else, get the iPhone 5S. Absolutely get it. Just right now, go stand in line if you have to. Get it immediately. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. The things that you'll notice from the old stuff to this.
For me, the crazy is the future. Apple,
yeah.
I was talking to Maurice Chevalier about this just before the show started. Apple just set everyone at Google's hair on fire. If you're an Android developer at Google, you are crying right now because you are 18 months to 2 years minimum before you can even catch up to Apple, let alone surpass them.
Well, but that's been the issue all along.
Yep.
People have been trying to catch Apple. And, part of that is that, okay, we'll just take a bunch of features and throw them out there and hope that catches up. And for some people, that may work. But in reality, it's not true. That's not the way things work.
Something that Cook has said in the past and said in the iPhone event that they, I'll paraphrase this, they do things for the emotional, not the technical. In other words, they could have done a lot of this stuff years ago, but there was no need. They didn't need to. The customer didn't want it or didn't know they wanted it. They do things when the technology is right and it's right for the customer too. Talk about the iPhone, the iTouch ID. This is the right time for that with the A7 chip. If they try to do this, from what I understand with the A7 chip and Touch ID, they couldn't have done this with previous chips, not in this way, and that the Touch ID is magic. Is one way to describe it. I mean, it's just freaking magic. Talk to us about that.
Well, I one of the things that worried me going into the event was Touch ID.
Yeah.
Because we've all seen things like voice print and fingerprint and other things to allow you into hard drives or into your system. Even OS 9 had that.
Yeah.
So we've seen things like this in the past. They didn't work that well. When they did work, they were slow, and features. And this is what I was just talking about. Throwing features in a product is not innovating.
Yeah,
it's not helping the user. So I wondered what Apple was going to do for implementation of this fingerprint sensor.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw it, I thought, okay, that's very cool. Now let's see how it works. So in the hands-on area, I actually put my fingerprint on and, I went through the process. And after I got my phones, I set it up with the fingerprint. And, normally you tap the home button, the phone wakes up, and then you slide to unlock, and then you type in your passcode, and the phone unlocks.
Yep.
And that gets annoying after, even 20 minutes after.
Yep.
That gets annoying. With the fingerprint sensor, I did my thumb because that's what I tap on the home button with.
Yep.
So you tap on the home button, and the phone wakes up, and you just rest your thumb on it, on the home button. It reads your fingerprint and unlocks, and that's it.
Done.
It's like instantaneous.
Yep.
There's no waiting. There's no I see you want to do your fingerprint this time. Okay, well I'll read your fingerprint. That matched. So I think I'll unlock the phone now. And, that none of that. It's just tap, read, open.
And it's actually faster than they show in the video. In the video, when I was watching it on Apple's website, it seemed like the person had to hold their finger on the Touch ID sensor for, a while, a period of time. But from what I've been reading from your review and all the other reviews, it's literally almost a touch, almost just a quick little no more of a touch than if you had to click the button.
It takes longer to click the button than it does to read the fingerprint.
Yeah, I was very surprised.
The longest part of unlocking your phone now is to actually click the button to wake the phone up. As soon as the phone wakes up, that quick, you're in.
Yep.
So, and if you do open it up and, if in the notification center, you have a list of email messages. If you swipe on one particular message, it'll go to the unlock passcode screen. You can just lay your fingerprint on the sensor, and it'll unlock and go directly to that message.
Yeah.
So you can do the slide to unlock, and the passcode things come up. You can start typing in your passcode, lay your thumb down, and it'll fill in the rest.
Cool.
It's so quick. That's what makes it useful. And the fact that I picked up my 5C and laid my thumbprint on it to try and open it shows how useful it really is, because you get used to using your fingerprint very, very quickly because it's that efficient to do.
Now, Louis, HK, what happens if I leave the phone at the table and it rings? Can my friends or wife answer? No, they can't, can they?
Oh, geez. There's a good question.
Well, unless you've allowed them, unless their fingerprint is also on the phone, then no, they couldn't do it. It's not like I know Alessandra's passcode, so I can pick up her phone and type in her passcode. But with this, you couldn't do that. You can't pick up someone else's phone and use it. That's the point of the fingerprint sensor.
Hold on.
Okay.
I'm I'm calling myself from the 5C to the 5.
Okay. By the way, folks, we did try to do video with Jim again today, and it worked in our test, but it crapped out on Jim during the test.
Yeah, you can answer it. It just says slide to answer.
So someone could answer your phone.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes, someone could answer the phone. It just comes up with the normal thing.
So Louise HK, thanks for the question. It's a good question because I would have assumed that they couldn't answer the phone.
No, they can.
Okay, good.
So I just called from the 5C to the 5S.
Yeah.
And the phone was locked. The phone was locked, wasn't it? Oh, geez, I didn't unlock it. Hold on, I'm going to do it again.
All right, test that for us, please.
This time I'm going to... Okay. Calling again. There we go. Come on, ring.
You can also bypass the fingerprint sensor.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, you can answer it.
But you can also bypass the fingerprint sensor and go straight to passcode, can't you?
Yes. Oh, yeah, sure.
So if you
go
ahead.
Now you can also when you restart the phone,
yep,
you need to enter in your passcode.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that.
So nobody's going to be able to, you have to enter in the passcode in order to keep going.
Now, I don't know if this is very common, but Monty says there's an interesting potential side effect to Touch ID. In an emergency situation, a first responder could use the Touch ID sensor of a person who's unconscious to be able to look in their contacts for an ICE contact. And they actually would have to do that, wouldn't they? You know what an ICE contact is?
No.
ICE contact is a lot of folks, especially motorcycle riders or bicyclists, will put your emergency contact as in your phone contact database, so that an emergency response or an EMS guy can pick your phone up and go to your contacts and find out who is the person they're supposed to contact. If it's just a passcode, they couldn't do that. They couldn't bypass that, and they wouldn't know to call your wife or to call your brother or to call your doctor.
Well, Monique would probably hang up on them.
Well, yeah, because you've had a long enough life. You're good. Your kids are off to college. You're done.
I'm done.
We've known that for a while. So anyway, but with the fingerprint sensor, in theory, you could take the person's thumb, put it on the phone, on the unconscious person's thumb, put it on the phone, and unlock the phone.
Yeah.
ICE stands for, as Ian says, in case of emergency. And MacMan says, surprised Apple doesn't have an ICE entry. But you can put in your own ICE entries, folks. You just use it as ICE, as a contact database. And a lot of EMS technicians will know to search a contact database for the ICE name.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's a good thing to do. It doesn't hurt. You just create a database, create a contact in your iPhone called ICE. So if something happens, they can go through and find out who to call, and you can list any number of people that you want first responders to call, or you can even list the hospital you want to go to, or any medical condition or anything else like that you want them to know about. I think it's a good idea.
So I can put down I'm a drunk, or
if found unconscious, give Heineken. So overall, this is not the cheap phone that the media were maybe expecting or promising their readership, but this is an amazing phone. This is the future of Apple. With the A7 too, this is also, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, the future of the iPad.
Oh, I believe so, yeah.
Will the next iPad have an A7 chip in it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I gotta believe.
I would think. I would also think that it would have a fingerprint sensor. But, I don't know anything specific about the next iPad. So,
yeah.
I'm totally guessing. But it makes sense to me that it would.
Yeah, there's even if you're guessing, no matter what you've heard or read on rumor mills, I can guarantee almost that it's going to have a fingerprint sensor and the A7 chip, because the iPad is going to be perfect for this. It's going to drive the iPad well past any competitor tablets, like it has the iPhone. I don't think there's anyone out there that is going to be able to. The biggest issue, I think, for Apple going forward from Friday is convincing people in whichever way their marketing department can that the iPhone 5S is a superior phone, even though it's not the biggest phone out there, even though it's not from Samsung, that this is the best phone for the vast majority of people. I understand that some people still want a bigger screen. I get why you'd want a bigger screen. But for the average consumer, the vast majority of people who are going to be buying a phone in the next 6 months to 8 months, I think the iPhone is unquestionably the best phone for them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Is there any downside to the iPhone 5? Is there anything you saw that you didn't like of it? Is there anything that you thought was, oh, they shouldn't have done that? Is there anything that you, after having used it for a week, think, oh, I wish they'd done this better?
One thing.
What's that?
Nighttime shots. And I understand.
Yeah, that's right. We haven't even talked about the camera yet.
Yeah, I understand that there are things that, just can't be done.
Well, to be fair, you don't understand them at all. You just know it.
Okay, people have told me that, there are things that just can't be done, like, moving the sensors away from optics or whatever crap they said, If they would say it like, the guitar string needs to be restrung, and that would make it sound, okay, yeah, I get that.
I got that,
but,
yeah.
Optics and physics and, whatever.
Yep.
Whatever. But, yeah, night shots, not so good. It's getting better.
Yeah.
It is getting better. I got to give them that. But still, I'm not looking at, actual night shots, because it's in the north, and it's light like 6 or 8 months of the year. So, but I'm talking, like concerts and things like that. You take a picture and you get home, it looks like crap. I would like pictures to be nice, because I rely on my iPhone for my pictures.
I think the other thing about the iPhone, I said earlier that if you are a photographer and like taking photographs with your iPhone, get the new one regardless of which iPhone you have now. But I think it's an even bigger deal, and again, it'll be interesting to see how Apple markets this to average people like you. Jim is a shitty photographer. I've seen his photographs. He's awful. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
No.
And so what happens is the iPhone has to carry the burden of what Jim doesn't know, of what Jim can't do, because for lack of knowledge. It's not because you're dumb, Jim, or anything else like that.
It's lack of caring too.
Hey, that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah.
Let's be serious. I mean, I expect that if somebody's going to give me a camera, then it's going to do the work. I just need to click that little button, and if I didn't have to do that, I wouldn't.
Exactly.
But when I get back, or when I look at the picture, I still expect it to be good.
Yep, that's right.
Even though, and if it's not good, what are most people going to say? Oh, it's just the phone camera. That's all. They're not going to say I suck.
Yep, that's right.
They're going to say, well, it's the phone camera.
Yep,
phone camera sucks.
Exactly. And people underestimate that. People underestimate that feeling that you have when that happens. You are going to blame the camera. Even though 95% of the time, it's not the camera's fault, it's you don't know how to take a proper picture. So I think Apple is doing a remarkable job in helping people figure that out. Or, as Johnny Ive says in some of the videos, taking the technology and making it invisible. You don't got to know about the camera sensor. You don't got to know. You don't want to know. You don't care. But if you can point your camera at a scene, at a person, at an image, and take a good picture, you feel good about the picture you took. I don't think people really are getting how important this aspect of the iPhone 5S is, and how much it's going to make a difference, again, if Apple markets it properly. They're going to have to convince people that this is true. And if they don't, if people take a lot of, like, for example, as you said, low light shots and they come out crappy, they're going to blame the iPhone. But if people take pictures of flowers, their kids, or burst mode and have fun doing it, it's going to be a big, big deal.
Yep, absolutely.
We have to go. We've been talking to you for almost an hour now. I know we had a lot to talk about, so I appreciate you sticking with me for this time. Folks, been talking to Jim Dalrymple from The Loop at loopinsight.com. Thanks, Jim, as always. Appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks, Sean.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much, Jim, for that. I don't know if he's still listening. I'm going to sign out of that. Bloop, bloop. Okay. I'm exhausted. I got to tell you right now. This is probably the longest I've sat in a chair in one position since the accident. It's amazing how hard this is. The last time I had a serious injury, I was 10, and I broke my leg when I was a kid and was immobilized in hospital for, about 3 months, I think. I don't remember that. I don't remember how painful that was. I don't remember anything about that. Every other injury I've had since then has been minor. You bang your knee and you have to sit down for a couple of days. You go skiing and you're sore for 2 or 3 days. You break a finger and you're in a finger cast for a couple of weeks. That's no big deal. But when you, at any speed, fall off a moving vehicle and hit the pavement with your entire body, I've said it before, Alessandra is lucky in the sense that because of her concussion, she doesn't remember any of the accident. I remember all of it. I remember every single microsecond. And it's true. Shit happens in slow motion, or at least in your memory it does. And I remember seeing that guy coming into my path of travel. And I remember yelling, "No!" and slightly turning the handlebars of the bike. I hit him on his right front quarter panel just at the tire with my tire. I remember flying over the front of my motorcycle and his car, doing a 360-degree turn in slow motion. Ground, sky, ground, thump. Oh! And then lying there, cursing and screaming and yelling and opening my eyes and seeing poor Alessandra in front of me, 10 feet in front of me. 10 feet in front of me! So she went further, lying there face down and feeling so bad about what she was going through at the time. It's not fun. It is not fun at all. Dar XMac on Twitter asked me today, are you going to get back on the horse? A lot of you guys have asked me that question. And you know what? I honestly don't know. Ballpark estimate, State Farm is going to give me replacement value. And by the way, State Farm has been wonderful. I've only been a State Farm customer since I got here to Calgary, end of April. So May, June, July, August, September, 5 months. I gave them $500. They're giving me approximately $30,000 all in. Thank you, State Farm. I'm really sorry. But yeah, that's the way insurance, Alessandra pointed out, that's the way insurance works. But I also kind of feel bad. I've only been a customer for a few months. I'm costing them all this money. But they've been great. The guys, unfortunately, I have to deal with headquarters in Ontario, which as Canadian, you know how much that pisses me off. But they've been helpful. They've been caring. They've been communicative, open and honest. And apparently they went there on Monday to the impound lot here in Calgary. The bike is a total loss, as I expected it. You can't hit another vehicle at the speed limit with the front of your bike and expect it to be okay to ride. So they're going to give me replacement value for the motorcycle. So does that mean I go and buy a new motorcycle? No. I will not be buying a new motorcycle. We're not getting a bike. There's no point in having a bike here in Calgary in the wintertime. I can't ride it. It's too cold. We'll just be in a garage for X period of time. So there's no point. So it won't be until next spring before I even think about buying a new motorcycle. And I honestly don't know if I want another one. I love motorcycle riding. As Alessandra said to me when I talked to her about this, it's where I get in touch with my soul. It doesn't happen anywhere else, or at least in the same way as when I'm on a bike. But I don't know if I want to put her through riding again. She loves riding. She loves being on the back. I love having her on the back. I love ride. We were just piddling around Calgary. We were headed off to a sushi place just to have dinner. I love having her on the back, but I don't ever want to have her go through that ever again. And there's no guarantee it won't happen again. That's the problem with riding a motorcycle. There's never a guarantee that you're not going to crash. That's why, experienced riders say you drive, what is it? Something for the crash? You gear up for the crash. You wear the gear that'll protect you when you crash. I don't want to go through that again with her. I certainly don't want to go through this with me. Broken wrist, shattered wrist, not fun. Broken toes, not fun. Sore, tired, constantly, can't sleep more than 2-3 hours a night, not fun. It's been 3 weeks now, and I have not gotten more than about 4 hours sleep a night since the accident. And that's hard on you. It's hard on your body. It's hard to recover when you're constantly tired. And it makes your everyday doing things exhausting. Sitting on the couch is exhausting for crying out loud. So I don't know. I think I would like to, but I'm not 100% sure. I got an email here from Les Posen down in Australia. Just tuned in. So glad you're up and about. How is the CIG doing? Again, thank all you guys for asking about Alessandra. She appreciates it, and I certainly appreciate it. She's banged up. Luckily for her, nothing broken, nothing damaged as bad as I was, but she did have a concussion that she's still recovering from, and she's also very sore and very achy, as is to be expected. Les follows up with a question. He says, have you and Jim D discussed Art Levinson, Apple board chairman, becoming CEO of new Google Health startup? No, why would we? It's got nothing to do with Apple. It's Art Levinson being CEO of a whole different company. It's of zero interest to me. But this is not to just dismiss what you're saying, Les, but it's got no interest for me. Folks, that's it for tonight's show. I want to say thank you very much to all of you guys for being here tonight. Folks who are listening in via the archive, listening in live, thanks very much to the folks in the IRC chat room. Appreciate you guys being here and hanging out. I missed you guys. I missed seeing the folks in the IRC chat room. I miss doing the show. I'm going to try to keep doing it through the rest of September, and we'll see what the doctors say. I go in tomorrow. The doctors will take a look at the wrist and see what the prognosis is for the future. In theory, I'll get full motion back. The problem is how fast. So our Italy trip may get put off. If that's true, I'll keep doing the show through October. No offense to you guys, but I definitely need a vacation. I would definitely like to be able to go to Italy. We've got all kinds of great plans for the website, Our Private Italy, and would love to get the tour in to see Alessandra's family. So we're definitely still planning on going, but whether we actually can go is something different. We'll have other news coming up later on in October, November too. So hopefully you guys will stay tuned. So again, thank you guys very much for being part of the, well, for lack of a better term, the Your Mac Life family. I appreciate you guys being here. So until next week, as always, I've been Sean King, and you've been listening to Your Mac Life. See ya!